Hello, everybody. All right, so next to last lesson of the third grade book, lesson 12.8, problem solving. In this lesson, we're going to be classifying plane shapes, and our essential question is how can you use the strategy draw a diagram to classify plane shapes? Okay, and we're on page 535 of the third grade textbook. The diagram we're going to be working with today is a diagram called a Venn diagram. And a Venn diagram shows how sets of things are related. In the Venn diagram at the right, one circle has shapes that are rectangles. Shapes that are rhombuses are in the other circle. The shapes in the section where the circles overlap are both rectangles and rhombuses. And our question is, what type of quadrilateral is in both circles? Okay, so what do I need to find? I need to find what type of quadrilateral is in both circles. All right. What information do I need? I need to use the circles labeled rectangles and the circle labeled rhombuses. Okay, so we need to use the title of the circles to figure out what type of shapes are in the middle. How will I use the information? Okay, so I can describe the shapes. Okay, I'll describe the shapes in the section that overlaps by their sides and angles. All right, so now, what is true about all quadrilaterals? So these are just some general questions to ask yourself as you're solving this problem. Well, they have four sides and four angles. Okay, so we know that all these shapes here are quadrilaterals. All right, they have four sides and they have four angles. Now, let's get a little more specific with them. Which quadrilaterals have two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel? Which shapes have two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel? Well, this rectangle does, right? Squares do. Rhombuses. Okay, so all three of those shapes have two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. All right, now, which quadrilaterals have four sides of equal length? Okay, so this is a little more specific, right? We know that squares have four sides of equal length, and all of these rhombuses have four sides of equal length. In fact, they have to have four equal sides in order to be considered a rhombus. Which quadrilaterals have right angles? Well, rectangles do, and squares have to. Why didn't I put rhombuses? Well, because I can be a rhombus without having four right angles. All a rhombus has to do is have four equal sides. All right, so the quadrilaterals in the section where the circles overlap have two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. They also have four sides of equal length because they're also rhombuses, and they have four right angles because they're squares. So what shape is in both? What shape is considered a rectangle and a rhombus? A square. All right, how about this one? The Venn diagram shows the shapes Andrea used to make a picture. Where would the shape shown below be placed in the Venn diagram? What do I need to find? Where the shape should be drawn. What information do I need? Circle labeled circles labeled quadrilaterals and polygons with right angles. All right, how will I use the information? All right, so what can we do this time? Well, we need to look at the sides and angles of all of these shapes, describe their characteristics to be able to decide where we should put this shape. Okay, so record the steps. Okay, so all quadrilaterals have four sides. Okay, so we notice here that has three sides. This has 6 sides. This has 5 sides. So these are polygons that are not quadrilaterals. Okay. Okay, they have the shapes in the middle have four sides and at least one right angle. Okay, right? So these are all four-sided figures and they have at least one right angle. They actually have at least two. Okay. Okay. The shape that needs to be placed has four sides, right? It has four sides, so it is a quadrilateral. And it has at least one right angle. In fact, this shape has 2 right angles. So it goes right in the middle. Right, so how did we decide where this shape goes? Well, we know that all quadrilaterals have to have 4 sides. Okay, so these shapes over here cannot be in the middle because they do not have 4 sides. The shapes in the middle have 4 sides, and they also have at least 1 right angle. This shape that needs to be placed has 4 sides, so it won't go in the polygons with right angles. Only in that side because it also has a right angle. So it has to be, I'm sorry, this shape here is both a quadrilateral and a polygon with a right angle. Okay? So that's why it goes in the middle. So now, number 1, how many shapes do have right angles? 1, 2, 3. How many red shapes have right angles but are not quadrilaterals? Red shapes with right angles but not quadrilateral. 1, just the triangle. What is a different way to sort them? Well, we could sort them by shapes with parallel sides and shapes with right angles. Okay, so I could still keep polygons with right angles and just change this to sides that are parallel. Okay, so these shapes here would still stay on the outside because they're parallel, but they don't have right angles. These shapes would stay over here. Actually, the pentagon would move over to this side, and this one would move over here. Just the triangle would be by itself there, because it doesn't have any parallel sides, but it does have a right angle. All of these shapes would stay right where they're at. Okay, 537. Jordan is sorting the shapes at the right in a Venn diagram. Where does the rhombus go, the green rhombus? Okay, so let's look at the sides and angles of the polygons. Next, draw the polygons in the Venn diagram. Okay, so where's the rectangle go? Is it a polygon with right angles? Yes. Does it have all sides equal? No. So the rectangle goes by itself on the left-hand side. How about the triangle? It doesn't have any right angles. Polygon with all sides equal? Yeah. I'm going to put the blue triangle there. And the square. Okay, the square has to have all sides equal, but it also has right angles. So I'm going to put that in the middle. Okay, now this triangle does have a right angle, but all its sides are not equal. So that would go down here. The pentagon also has right angles. This shape here has right angles, but not all sides are equal. Does this rhombus have right angles? It does. Okay, so that would go in the middle. And the last one, all the sides are equal, but it doesn't have any right angles. So I'll put that over here. All right, so now this shape that we have to place has four sides equal in length, but it doesn't have any right angles. So the shape goes in the polygons with all sides equal. Where will we place this shape? Well, it doesn't have four sides of equal length, but it does have a right angle. So it would be placed in the polygons with right angles. 3. What if Jordan sorted the shapes by polygons with right angles and polygons with angles less than a right angle? Would the circles still overlap? Polygons with right angles. So he's keeping that title, and he's changing this to angles less than a right angle. So do any of these shapes meet the criteria for both? In other words, they're a polygon with right angles, but they also have an angle less than a right angle. Yeah, this shape here would be in the middle in that case, right? That angle is less than the right angle. That is a right angle, so it would go in both. It does have a right angle and an angle less than the right angle. So yeah, they were still overlap. Wow. Okay. And number 4, Ava drew the diagram below. What labels could she have used for the diagram? So let's see. These are quadrilaterals with parallel sides. Yeah. These do not have parallel sides. So quadrilaterals with parallel sides. What does the right-hand circle? What is the characteristics of the right-hand circle? They all have right angles. So we could say polygons with right angles. And that's why these three shapes are in the middle. They are quadrilaterals with at least one pair of parallel sides, and they also have right angles. Okay. 538. Ben and Marta are both reading the same book. Ben has read 1/3 of the book. Marta has read 1/4 of the book. So draw a rectangle. In fact, draw two rectangles of the same size because they're reading the same book. Okay. Ben's broken his into 3 sections, and Marta's broken hers into 4 sections. If we shade 1/3 and 1/4, we see that 1/3 is greater. Also, we've learned that when we compare fractions with the same numerators, the denominator with the smaller number is the larger fraction. So Ben has read more. Number 6. There are 42 students from 6 different classes in the school spelling bee. Each class has the same number of students in the spelling bee. Use the bar model to find how many students are from each class. So we need some number that's going to repeat itself to give me a total of 42. So how many classrooms here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we see 6 classes. They also told us that right there. There are 42 total students. So we have 42 divided by 6 is how many students? Well, 42 divided by 6 equals what? Is the same as saying 6 times what is 42. Okay, well, I can skip count 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42. How many sixes did I count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6 times 7 is 42. So each class has 7 students in the spelling bee. Okay, number 7. Draw and label a Venn diagram to show, um, to show one way you can sort a rectangle, a square, a trapezoid, and a rhombus. Okay, so draw 2 circles that overlap. Okay, and now we want to sort the rectangle, a square, a trapezoid, and a rhombus. So we could say quadrilaterals with right angles. Because all of these shapes could have right angles. The square and the rhombus have equal sides. Okay, so we could say um, quadrilateral with 4 equal sides. So the ones that would be in the middle would have 4 equal sides and a right angle. Well, that's only square. So which quadrilaterals have right angles? The rectangle does. Trapezoid. Can a trapezoid have a right angle? Yeah, sure it can. Okay, that's a trapezoid. It has one pair of parallel sides. Okay. And a rhombus. Well, if we draw a rhombus, like this one here, okay, it's obviously bigger than my shape, so, but a rhombus doesn't have to have right angles. Okay, so I could put the rhombus there. All right, number 8. Ashley is making a quilt with squares of fabric. There are 9 rows with 8 squares in each row. How many squares of fabric are there? Well, we can make 9 rows of 8, right? Okay, so we're going to have 9 rows of 8. if we were drawing a picture, that is. But I could also just multiply 9 times 8. I got carried away with my dots, sorry. All right, so we have 9 rows of 8. Wow, okay, so we have 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64, 72. 72 squares. And number 9, sketch where to place these shapes in the Venn diagram. So we have polygons with all sides of equal length, and we have quadrilaterals with right angles. Well, the triangle definitely can't go here or in the middle. Why? Because it's not quadrilateral. So the triangle has to go there. And the square, it is a quadrilateral. It has 4 right angles and all sides of equal length. So it goes in the middle. Okay, so that's it for lesson 12.8. So in our next lesson, our final lesson of the 3rd grade math curriculum, we will be working on relating shapes, fractions, and area. So until then, may the numbers always be in your favor.